was to through hike from one end of the park to the other. But it was my birthday on the day we left, and because it was my birthday, some friends took me out to dinner, and so we didn't get to the trailhead before they locked the gate. So I had to come up with another plan. So we started and did all of today's hiking from the center of the park rather than through hiking all the way through. It kind of messes up the man versus wild survivor man ambiance, but it's the reality of the way things work out. We'll work for more adventure later on. Okay, this is the sum and substance of all of my gear. We just started and we've already got a couple failures. My trusty old X9 watch is completely out. I charged it yesterday and it shut off somewhere on the drive here. Also, because I want to get into more adventure racing, I bought a new compass from REI on the way down, and if you look at it, notice it won't even turn at all. Looks like the magnet not properly gimbaled or something. I'm gonna stuff it all into this Osprey Talon 22, which should be no problem because I originally started putting it in a Talon 11. So one of the tricks to the ultralight backpacking is not carrying a ton of food. And so, you know, we're all North Americans. We have more than adequate nutrition almost all the time. So we don't need that much. Most of the extra stuff what you need for a few day hike, you carry right here. And then you just burn that off, and you just need a little bit of something to keep your stomach from growling and to keep you from doing your blood sugar from getting too low. So this is my breakfast. One of the techniques that I use whenever I'm out hiking along trails that makes it very easy to keep from getting lost for too long is every time I come to a trail marking, I mark that point on my GPS. That way, if I get off trail, especially when hiking at night, the GPS will tell me how far to the last known point, a trail intersection or something like that, that I am. So what I do, so that way, whenever I go to the nearest waypoint, I can see exactly how far I am from the latest point. Whenever batteries are low, for example the GPS, then what I do also is I can turn my GPS off most of the time, turn it on whenever I need a fix, then take a bearing to the waypoint, then navigate to that waypoint using a regular compass. Whenever you're going with very minimal backpacking equipment, one of the things you cut back on is the amount of food. You really don't need a lot with you. But one thing is you get a little bit hungry along the way. And one of the great little nibbles that you can do is almost any conifer, whenever it's putting out new shoots, these little fronds, especially the particularly light green ones, actually are fairly tasty. Some of them have a little more of a bitter taste than others. You get to learn that after a while. But you can chew on these and it kind of takes away a bit of your hunger, and it makes you feel it's got a nice taste to it. And they've got loads of vitamin C. This is a banana slug. It's common in the redwood forests of around Santa Cruz, which is where we're at. This slug, you'll notice it's bright yellow and stands out in comparison to its environment. And whenever you see an animal that looks like that, it usually means that it's usually a warning to predators not to bother eating it because it tastes absolutely foul. And we think that I've heard of people eating these, but it is absolutely disgustingly foul. I don't know of any things, but I wouldn't advise. So this is a violet. There's a lot of different forms of violet. This one happens to be one that's native to the redwood forest, and although it's called a violet, it is really yellow, as you can see. All violet, the flowers are edible and they actually taste pretty good, but I'm going to leave this one alone because there's only one here. It's kind of early in the season. This is one of the very first nibbles that I ever discovered when I was a kid. This is called oxalis. A lot of people call it clover. It's related to a shamrock, and the family oxalis has got over 800 different species. It's around the whole world. There's lots of different colors of flowers. This one happens to be pink, and this has a very large leaves. They're kind of tangy, edible. It's great for freshening your breath right before a date or something like that. Very tasty. You can just eat the leaves and the stems, and a nice little snack. So one of the things that you can actually make more or less of a meal out of is our fiddleheads from ferns. As far as I know, almost all fern fiddleheads are edible. They sometimes have bad flavors, sometimes not. So you get these immature stems, and if you find like a huge number of ferns and are really hungry, you can cut them. They evidently taste better if you boil them. I've only had them a couple times and they were all pretty good. I'll leave these ones alone, but they are edible and they're pretty good. Right next to the fiddleheads that I pointed out over there, I noticed another plant. These all grow in fairly moist areas. You can see a little spring right there. But this is a kind of wild ginger. It's actually stronger than the ginger that we get in the store, but it's you have to dig up the root, clean it off real well, and you'll find a really small root for a plant like this. You'll have to dig all over to get it. But it is edible, and it's also a very good antimicrobial. Here I'm going to have a nice little snack of wild violet flowers, and they're going to be a nice little sweet thing. And these kind of little snacks give me a little extra energy on the trip. Right here I found a huge number of that oxalis I was talking about, so I don't feel bad about picking it. And this is also in better condition than the one I showed before. Here I've picked a bunch of it, and it's really good eating. I don't want to eat too much more than something like this in one setting because it can also block the absorption of vitamin C. Very good. So this is the California daylily. It's the same kind of lily that you get out as a cut flower, but this is the wild version of it. It's kind of pretty. I don't know of any use for it except for being pretty, so I'm going to leave it alone. We're climbing up a hill, and you can see this is the view from up there. You can also notice that all the plants and animals are different than they were down in the riparian zones and in the redwood forest. This is sticky monkey flower. No particular use that I know of. These pretty purple flowers are a plant called yerba santa, and yerba santa is actually edible and it tastes very, very good, but it leaves kind of a sticky residue in your mouth. You want to get the light green, youngest leaves as possible. Makes a great tea when it's dry, but it's really nice to taste as long as you don't mind the kind of sticky flavor in your mouth.